Deep Threat Sports Network fans, hey, we are back again this week and exciting stuff here. This is our last episode of the year before we're doing nothing but strictly game conversations and what college football is all about. That is why we do this, and we have made it. Everybody, we have officially made it through the college football offseason, and it is go time, especially after this episode. We are here with you tonight, and we are here with you tomorrow night as well. And tomorrow night, we are going to do our college football weekly preview of our top games moving into the weekend. And we'll have our little quickie segment that we always do with the lesser games that don't get as much attention that we'll still touch on, and our Book It segment, looking to have a winning record again this season. Bryant, Dave, Nolan, glad to have you guys back this week. Hey, fellas, we made it. I'm going to say it again this week. Still hot as shit, but we made it, fellas. How we doing?
Good. It's supposed to cool off, so we're getting into that fall weather.
Hey, here in the Carolinas, we're getting 70s next week.
You're outside with the bugs, Dave, getting bit by mosquitoes. I heard West Nile's going around, and you're just fighting You're just overcoming all adversity. Hey, hopefully the hurricane didn't get to you or whatever was going on down there, too. You're on the coast now. You moved away from us in here in Missouri, which is a shame. But I appreciate you being here tonight, Dave. Nolan, how we doing, buddy?
Doing good. We're about to get a cold wave for August at least. It was only like mid-80s today, so much better.
I saw that we were supposed to get a cool front starting today, and it sure as hell didn't feel like it. I know that.
Hey, it was mid-80s. It wasn't near as bad.
No, man. It's still, I don't know.
Dude, this past weekend was brutal. Like,
I went to the Cardinals game on Sunday, and you want to talk about absolutely miserable. We watched 2 innings. Me, my wife, my brother, and his fiance. We watched 2 innings and bounced to Ballpark Village, and that was it for me. I couldn't take it any longer, and the Cardinals, we all know, are just not worth it. So, on state tonight, let's focus on what we're here for tonight. Tonight's episode is strictly, we are wrapping this offseason up with coaches' hot seat conversation, what coaches are looking to not be on their team for the 2026 season that they're with right now, and how we're going to kind of do this. This shouldn't be too long of an episode for you guys, but we wanted to make sure we highlighted who we thought is in the most trouble with the most pressure. And we have come up with a scale, a 1 through 8 scale that Dave and Nolan expressed they thought was really weird numbers. They didn't think thought it should be like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, but we do things different here at this network, and we're 1 to 8. So 8 is absolutely melting. This coach is not going to make it back no matter what happens coming into next season. And 1 is as mild as it can get. But if you're on this episode, you're automatically a 1. Obviously, we're not going to have a Dan Lanning on this episode and say he's a 1 because he's going to keep his job. No, those coaches are by no means in any way, shape, or form in any kind of trouble for their job. So 1 is as mild as it can get. It is Taco Bell, mild sauce, and 8 is the fire sauce. So let's get right into this thing real quick and waste no time. The first coach that we are going to talk about is Brent Venables, the head coach of Oklahoma. And he had a lot of success, fellas, before he came to Oklahoma as a defensive coordinator at Clemson. This guy was really sought after in the open market whenever he was expressing to become a head coach. He is 22-17 as the head coach at Oklahoma since 2022. Had some Big 12 seasons in there. Just recently in 2024 season moved to the SEC. So not the best win record if you take the Big 12 years into consideration. 0-3 in bowl games. Has an $8.5 million annual salary. His contract is through the 2029 season. The buyout looks to be around, at the end of 2025 season, looks to be around 34-ish, give or take, million. So a pretty substantial buyout, but a lot of these teams you'll see pony up if they really want to get rid of their guy. And I want to note one thing before I kick it off to you guys. Joe Castiglione is the athletic director at Oklahoma, one of the most respected and the longest tenure athletic director in college football across all these schools, and he is retiring at the end of this season. He's finally hanging it up. So my question for you guys is, does that put more pressure on Venables with them getting a new AD, or does it put less pressure on Venables with Castiglione maybe getting out of there and a new athletic director coming in and them not wanting to make a coaching hire right away? So, Bryant, why don't you tell me what you think about Brent Venables in Oklahoma?
I think the AD thing, I think regardless of whether it's the guy that's leaving or the new AD, I don't think it matters. I think Brent Venables is on one of the hottest seats in the country, personally. Oklahoma, their fans are used to winning. They're used to winning big-time games and making the playoff, making deep runs, and he hasn't done it. I think last season we all know and saw that Jackson Arnold was the scapegoat for that team. I don't think there's a scapegoat anymore. I think if Oklahoma plays bad this season, it's on the head coach, and I think he gets fired. He's going to have to make a playoff run this year or something very close to that to not be on a very, very hot seat. And if we're going by our 1 to 8 scale, I have them at a 7.
Nolan, Dave, whichever one of you are ready, why don't you tell me what you think about this? I like the 7 too, by the way, Brian. I'm with that.
I was thinking more of a 6, but I mean, I could very easily be convinced he's a 7. You could even convince me he's an 8. And going off of just what Bryant was saying, I think a big thing too is when you have your sister program, not necessarily their sisters, but University of Texas that is on the rise. They're doing very well. Your athletic director is looking like, hey, look at what they're doing. Like, we've got to get it together, So I think the fact that Texas is having success and Oklahoma is kind of like on that weird plateau where they're not complete trash, but they're not performing to the level. And to Brian's point, there is a certain standard at University of Oklahoma in regards to what you expect, at least a bowl game every year, bare minimum, and that's really scraping the bottom of bare minimum. But again, I would be more shocked if he's still there. And to your point, Colin, about athletic director, I think there's a lot of pressure on him because, listen, maybe Brent Venables has a good relationship with his current athletic director, but the new athletic director might not even know who he is, and he will be very quick to get rid of him, especially if he
those new ADs. Those new ADs tend to want their people a lot.
Exactly. To my point, he might want his people, and also he's got nothing to lose by firing him and everything to gain, because it's not like he's doing well, or he's not doing terrible, but not to the standard of Oklahoma. And not to mention, a lot of athletic directors are going to look at this as, hey, if I bring in a guy and he turns the program around, I'm going to look like a savior. And, realistically, they probably won't bring somebody in that will make it worse.
Yeah.
And then again, we still have the controversy with, is John Mateer going to, serve any kind of suspension? If that does happen, what does that Oklahoma offense look like from that point forward? I don't know.
I think the John Mateer thing is kind of clearing up. You kind of see it fade away, which is kind of what we expected, just kind of dissipate, and that doesn't really shock me. So,
well, do you think it dissipated because nothing's going on, or because there was so much talk about the Michigan situation? I feel like the Michigan situation kind of popped up right at the same time. I don't know. I find it very hard to believe that they're not going to do anything about it.
It's hard to prove it. That's the thing. It's a lot of speculation. He's saying it was a joke, and it's hard to prove that it wasn't. So they can't just go off accusations, really. They got to have the proof. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. I don't think anything's going to come of that situation, which in turn I think puts more pressure on Venables, because that could be his cop out. We had a bad season. We had John Mateer, and now he can't play. So that could have been his cop out. Nolan, where are you at with this?
I got him much lower than you boys. I'm at a 4 here. I think it could truthfully go either way. Good season, he's staying. I think the wheels would have to fall off for him to be bought out, fired. And when I say wheels fall off, I'm talking like 500 season. If you guys remember from all of our episodes previous, I'm relatively high on Oklahoma. If you give me a betting odds, I would bet that he's going to be there next year. But I do think they're looking for maybe a little bit of a change, and he has a little bit of a leash, but not a long one. So I'm gonna give it a solid 4, just dead middle, 50-50 odds.
Okay, so we have a what were you, Bryant? You were a 7?
I was a 7.
7. Dave's a 7, 6 to 8 range. Nolan's a 4. So I'm going to give you guys some things that I have wrote down here a little bit that I did some research on. So between 2022 and 2024, they were a top 10 recruiting class. In 2025, they dipped down to number 17. So the player development and game outcome based on recruiting, in my opinion, is not that great, right? You're recruiting such a high level. You're bringing in a lot of talent. And in those years that you've been there, Venables, you're not getting the results. A 22-17 record when you have a top 10 recruiting class year in and year out, not very successful. They had the number 12 portal class, if you combine the two over the course of the last 2 seasons. Offensive rankings in the 3 years that Venables has been there. In 2022, they were ranked 23 out of the 68 Power 4 teams. In 2023, they were 11 of 68. In 2024, they were 64 of 68. In the 7 years before him, they were in the top 10 every single year. Now, the defensive rankings on the flip side, this is what Brent Venables does, right? He's a defensive guy. His first year he comes in, doesn't have his recruits, doesn't have his guys, doesn't really have his scheme yet. They were 42 out of 68. 2023, they were 13 of 68. 2024, they were 10 of 68. And in the 7 previous years before him with Lincoln, they had none in the top 25. So you really see Venables doing what he is really good at, and that's defense, and not doing very good at what he's not that good at, and that's offense. And I think you kind of see maybe some changes on the offensive side of the ball come in here. You bring in a new offensive coordinator, obviously, to try to get things going on the offensive side of the ball. And if you remember in our Big SEC, I'm still stuck on the Big 12 for Oklahoma. The SEC win totals, I had Oklahoma going 8-4. So I think that is enough for Venables to keep his job if they go 8-4. I think at this time next year, if they go 8-4 in the 2025 season, it's going up a tick. And I'll be honest, I'm right at a 5.5. So I'm right there, kind of with Nolan, a little bit higher than him. But I do think if you go 6-6, yeah, I think it's over. And 6-6 is definitely in the realm of possibilities for Oklahoma this season. As you can see here, we have the schedule up in front of you, so you can kind of check out the schedule and see what you think yourself. But there's a little bit of pressure with Venables this season. And sometimes coaches do better. Sometimes coaches do worse. Same with the locker rooms. So we're kind of all over the place here with Venables for the right reasons. Anything else on Brent Venables?
I got one thing to add. It seems like Oklahoma has had a bunch of issues with injuries. I think he may need to work on the athletic department as far as strength and conditioning and those types of people that work for him. I think that would help him ease the pressure a little bit too, because if your guys aren't healthy, it's not going to bode well for your situation.
I just think like to your point, losing all the receivers last year, that's really, really bad. But I think what makes things a little concerning for me too is like last season, Jackson Arnold was their savior. He was their guy. And it just really went really, really poorly and did not work out. So they really got to get some things going in the right direction at Oklahoma. The fans are getting really antsy. Another program of fans that is getting really, really antsy is the Auburn Tigers football fans. The Hugh Freeze conversation is taking a massive, not really a twist, but it is on a rocket ship right now, and these fans are uneasy. Talk about all he does is play golf. Then we have news come out this week that they're going to play all the quarterbacks. We had news last week. They're going to have all the coaches calling plays for the offense. They are all over the place right now, fellas. Hugh Freeze in Auburn is in a really, really bad spot. But he did have some success at Ole Miss. Had to resign for some investigations into some not so good calls, some service calls that he was making out there, and it wasn't for recruiting. So not the best look there. Then goes out to Liberty, has some success at Liberty, and then we come into Auburn, and you're 11-14 through your 2 seasons at Auburn. That's not acceptable at Auburn. Auburn's not going to put up with that. Auburn does not like it. You're 0-1 in a bowl game and bowl games, missing another year. That is unacceptable. That is completely unacceptable at Auburn. They're not going to put up with this much longer at all. You have a 6-year deal that he signed in 2022, averaging $6.5 million per year, and the buyout is 75% of the remaining deal plus supplemental pay for endorsements and appearances. So this could be a pretty pricey buyout, and it may deter things a little bit, or may give him a little bit longer of a leash than what they're wanting to give. But fellas, these fans are at wit's end right now. Dave, tell me how you feel about Hugh Freeze at Auburn. You're muted, bud.
Hugh Freeze has got to do a lot, man. I mean, I think bare minimum he's got to – and even this, I don't think will save him even if he's top 25. I think – and I don't know that he will be top 25. Looking at the schedule, I mean, just right off the bat, we'll probably lose to Baylor. We'll probably lose Oklahoma. Going to lose Oklahoma. Going to lose to Texas. Going to lose to Georgia. Probably going to lose to Missouri. Arkansas could possibly lose to them. Kentucky's I'm just looking at the schedule, and I'm like, if they finish out 500, this would be okay. But, again, Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat. Again, going back to Jackson Arnold, how good is he? How good is he going to be with this program?
They're saying they're going to play all the quarterbacks now too. This is not good.
And again, to our point, how we were talking about, Mizzou, debating on their quarterback position. I just feel like if you are going into week 1 and you don't have a set starting quarterback, I'm sorry, but Auburn is not that big of a program and it's not that deep to where they have, 2-3 studs. At this point, they're just hoping somebody hits. So
they need somebody to hit. Thanks for sneaking that Mizzou dagger in there while you're there too.
But no, like I said, I mean, Hugh Freeze, I'm giving him he's probably going to be my 1-8 for sure. Like, I would be shocked if he's still there at the end of the year.
He's going to be your only 8. Wow, I like it.
He's not my only, but the other ones I can probably give him a 7.
I like it. Nolan, where are you at with Hugh Freeze?
I'm getting up to the 6.5 range. I'm thinking 80% not going to be there, 20% going to be there. I think he has to make the top 25 to stick around. And like Dave said, there's a lot of teams that I'm relatively high on looking at the schedule here. I'm not sure it's going to happen. The playing different quarterbacks thing, it can't be good for a guy who just got thrown under the bus last year. You're just killing the kid's confidence at this point. You should have just named him the starter, had one offensive coordinator. I mean, they got probably a top 10, top 15, at the very least, duo of receivers in college football this year. Name him your quarterback, give him one offensive coordinator, let him do his thing. I don't think he's bad. You're just setting yourself up for failure, and I think setting yourself up for a new job next year.
So we have a 7 and a 6.5. Bryant?
I'm at a 6 on Hugh Freeze, right along with what Nolan said. I think he's shooting himself in the foot as far as putting more pressure on himself. Going like you mentioned with him when you did the intro for Hugh Freeze, seems like he's golfing more than he's paying attention to the team. Wearing Old Miss polos while he's golfing. It's like, dude, what are you doing? And then all the coordinator and stuff and quarterback stuff we've talked about is not helping either. Auburn was better down the stretch last year. I think that eases a little bit of pressure if he can continue that. I personally don't see that quite happening with this schedule. So I got him to 6, and he's one of the higher coaches I have on this list. I think his seat is very hot, and he's not making him better on himself.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I have him at a 6.5. I think all the news in the last 2 weeks has really ramped this thing up. The fans weren't happy in the offseason. The fans weren't happy in camp, and they're really not happy now. I mean, the coordinator news, like we said last week, hopefully that's just BS and blowing smoke and it doesn't stick. But the quarterback news that we got this week, I think it was either today or yesterday, really not good for them either. They had a lot of eggs in the Jackson Armour basket, I think, that hoping it was going to work out. Now, I'm going to do a lot of the same kind of research with all these coaches throughout the whole entire episode because I feel like it's fair to rank them all on the same things. So when I look at recruiting again, 2023, the number 17 class. 2024, the number 10 class. 2025, the number 7 class. Offense in 2 seasons with Hugh Freeze, 54 out of 68, 19 out of 68. That's about average compared to the 8 years before him. So is he really doing that bad? Does Auburn really need to kind of take a step back and reevaluate some expectations a little bit? It's up to be desired for, I guess, the fan base. I'm not necessarily an Auburn fan, but I think Auburn's one of those programs that thinks they have to be a whole lot better than what they really are every season because they're right next to Alabama. And they can go into the Iron Bowl and they bang with Alabama. So now all the Auburn fans think that, hey, we're Alabama. Newsflash, I hate to tell you, you're not. Most programs aren't. And whenever you can sneak up into the top 25, maybe make a playoff push, Auburn is a team that I do think within relative expectations, they should make a playoff push. I would say frequently. Not often, but frequently. I would say every couple of years, you could probably make a playoff push, especially getting a bid into there in the back half of the playoff teams. Now, the defense, in the 2 seasons Hugh Freeze has been there, 35 out of 68. 2024, they were 19 of 68. All 8 years before him were in the top 25 besides 1. So he's 1 for 2 on reaching expectations compared to the last 8 years before him, I should say. But I am at a 6.5. And the reason I'm at a 6.5 is because I have Auburn just sneaking in to make a bowl game and going 6-6 based off my win projections. So I think at 6-6, it's unless you find something new at the end of the season that you can hang your hat on and look forward to in the 2026 season, I think the Auburn fans are going to be at the end of the ropes for Hugh Freeze. And I'll be honest, too, it's a really, really hard job at Auburn because of the expectations. So 6.5 for me. Buckle up, Hugh Freeze. I think you're going to have a long season. Everybody good on Hugh Freeze?
You better make sure he has a burner phone.
He's going to need a lot of things, and a burner phone is probably one of them.
I had to throw that jab in there.
Yeah, well, he deserves it. The next coach that we're going to talk about is Sam Pittman at Arkansas, and I'm just going to be flat out honest with you fellas on this one. this guy's an 8 for me. He's not coming back next season. And it may be because he decides to not necessarily get fired, but maybe take that step back and kind of resign, a mutual agreement type deal, and hang it up. And I think for good reasons that's probably going to happen. So don't love it. But he was hired in 2020 as the Arkansas head coach. Before that, he'd spent about 3 years on the Georgia coaching staff. And he is 30-31 as the head coach at Arkansas. A lot of Arkansas fans don't like that. But let's have a reminder. You're Arkansas. 500 football at Arkansas. You gotta respect it a little bit, especially in the SEC. You aren't one of the top teams in the SEC. Every once in a while, you can kick it up a notch and go win you 8-9 games. But hey, let's be realistic here. He has a base salary of $5 million with some compensation escalators and incentives through the 2027 season, and the buyout is based on win percentage, so it could be as low as 50% and as high as 75%. I'm going to say what the win percentage he has is probably around that 50% buyout mark. I don't love life for Sam Pittman long-term much longer at Arkansas. Bryant, talk about the Hogs a little bit here in Sam Pittman.
I got him at 8 as well. I think he's either getting fired, he's going to step down, resign type thing, / retire. I know he's had some health issues that is part of that. But we're talking strictly about playing football games. This is a rough schedule. They're one of the least talented teams, I think, on both sides of the ball in the SEC as far as playmakers, I think, as well. And that just is a bad recipe for having a winning team and keeping your coach on staff. I think this is a pretty easy. This was my number. This is one of my easiest ones to rank. I have them at 8. And I think it's been an 8 for 4 months.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to change either. Dave?
I got him at a 7. I originally did have him as an 8, but I was like, I don't want to put too many 8s. So the only reason I have him at a 7 is, they were second in the SEC in total offense last year. So they've got something going for them. And then again, I just feel like Arkansas fans do like Sam Pittman. But then again, 30-31, like you said, Colin, just not going to cut it at Arkansas. The standards are very high. And they do play 4 top 25 matchups this year. So those are going to be probably for sure losses. And they'll drop a couple along the way. I know last year they had a couple games that, they lost by, just fumbling the ball or just one-score games. So they could keep them close. They just couldn't finish. But to your point, I have seen a lot of talk of maybe he just retires. He's already talked about what he would do in retirement. And I'm like, man, if you're already considering it.
The guy wants to drink cold beer, man.
Yeah, and again, I think it may be one of those where Arkansas says, hey, listen, we'll give you a little bit more than what we had said in your buyout. You just walk away. We part ways. Everybody's good. So most likely will happen, but I'm not all the way to an 8.
Is there any other coach you'd rather have a cold beer with, though, than Sam Pittman? I mean, I feel like me and this guy could lay out like bush lights.
Hey, listen, this guy is not currently coaching, but Ed Orgeron, I would love to have
that was going to be who I was going to say.
I would love to have a beer with that guy.
He's wanting to come back.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, maybe he goes to Arkansas.
Don't get it. Well, maybe. Go Hogs. I can see him saying go Hogs. Bold. Hey, hot take from Dave right there off the rip. I like that.
I think Lane Kiffin would be fun. I bet we just drink probably not beer. We'd probably drink, Jack Daniels and Coke
bourbon on the rocks. We're drinking bourbon on the rocks. That's Kiffin.
And just do something stupid.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to a club or something. Nolan, where are you at with Sam Pittman?
I'm also at an 8. We're all pretty high on this one. We've talked about this before. All the same points that you guys brought up. I don't see him staying after this year. It's either going to be a retirement or a firing, and I think they're going to leave it up to him.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that this is the end of the rope, and if they do it right, he does it himself and just steps down, wants to worry about his health and ride off into retirement. They could have some really good quarterback play this year. I had them going 5-7. I'm not going to talk too much about what their offense and defensive ranks have been in the 5 years with him. But the defense 5-year average is 38.4 with the best of 19 in 2020 and a worst of 59 in 2022. Reminder, this is out of 68 teams. And the 5-year average before him was 56.6. So you've seen him tick that defense up quite a bit. You move up about 18 spots on the average. Hey, that's something, man. I mean, it's something. And the 5-year average of with him as the coach on offense is a 28.6. The 5-year average of defense before him, or offense, I should say, was 35.4. So you see him go up 7 spots on offense as well. So there's something to be said that maybe he's made the improvements. Maybe the teams around him and teams on their schedule have just gotten that much harder. And who knows? And Pittman is definitely a player's coach. The players do respect him. And I think if they know this is kind of his, what's the saying, like swan song or whatever the saying is right there, and this is his last season, maybe they go out and they go get him at least a bowl game and they go get it for him here. They are 3-0 in bowl games that they've made it to. So something to hang your hat on for Sam Pittman. I hope he does the right thing, and if it goes poorly, hopefully he gets to make that decision himself, because I am a Sam Pittman fan. This next coach that we are going to talk about has a pressure for a few different reasons, and the main one being because of all the money that they have spent, and that is Joey McGuire at Texas Tech. And as everybody knows, this team has backed up the Brinks truck. They have pushed the chips in. They are going for it all at Texas Tech this season. Joey McGuire was hired in 2022. He's 23-16 as Texas Tech's head coach. They're 2-1 in bowl games. The contract is currently through 2028 with $26.6 million through that 2028 season. The buyout would have been slightly less than $13 million at the end of 2024. They made a decision to stick with him, let him be their guy moving forward with this team that they're backing up the truck for. So there is tons and tons of pressure, and I'm going to throw this out there. I think anything less than 9 wins and at least a Big 12 conference run, championship run, this guy's gone. So I'm anxious to see what you have to say, Nolan. Where you at with Joey McGuire?
I'm a little over the 50-50 mark. I'm not too high. I'm about a 5 here, 4.5, 5 range. I think if they make the Big 12 championship game, he'll satisfy. He's not going to make everybody happy, but he'll satisfy all the boosters. They'll give him another year, because truthfully, if Texas Tech is smart about this and they do think they have their guy, it's not going to be a 1-year thing where you back up the Brinks truck, pay for a championship. You're going to have to do it a couple years in a row. If you look at all of the Big 12 schools, they all look very similar talent level. You got to show some patience here. You're kind of like you guys been saying, temper expectations. You are Texas Tech. You have to pay people more to come to Lubbock to play for you. Let's show a little bit of patience here. Give them a couple years. So I can't go too high on it. Maybe that's optimistic thinking.
Bryant?
To be honest, I only have him at a 3. That's for multiple reasons. I think this team is good enough to make a deep run, like you mentioned, was required for him to stay around. I think that's going to play into this, as well as I'm right there with Nolan. I think you can't just throw a bunch of transfers and a bunch of money at something and hope it sticks and works immediately in year one. I think this is going to take this year and into next to fully get going like they hope it would be with all this money they're spending on their team. So I think the leash is pretty long for Joey McGuire, barring a disaster of a season like 4-8 or something like that. I think he's pretty safe.
Yeah, I'm with that based on this season's expectations. Dave, where are you at?
I got him at like a 4. Just because it could go either way. And, a lot of what I was thinking, what I was going to mention is stuff that you guys have already brought up. But, again, because they did back up the Brinks truck, the expectations are increasing. If they hadn't, maybe the expectations are not that high at Texas Tech. But he's coming off an 8-win season. He's had multiple 7-win seasons. I mean, he's doing well. He does not get into that next level. And, I think everyone's aware that, like Nolan mentioned, you can't just dump money and immediately the next season you're going to be good. You have to understand, especially like you got to develop those lines. You got to develop the O-line, defensive line. You've got to build a team. And again, because of NIL, people are going to try to pick you apart. The Alabamas, the Georgias, the big programs are going to try to pick you apart, and they're going to try to take your players. And that's just what's going to happen. It is what it is until they somehow level the playing field here. It's just going to happen because let's say, Texas Tech offers you $5 million, but Alabama offers you $3 million, but you can go to Alabama and you can, play for a national championship potentially. You're probably going to take the $3 million because you also know that, there's a good chance you're going to the NFL if you go to Alabama versus Texas Tech. They're not quite that university yet. They just, again, I think a lot of, the top level players that are going there are going to go for the money. I'm not saying that Texas Tech doesn't have anything going for them, but at this moment, they're just not that attractive of a program. And let's be real, Lubbock, not as attractive as Miami, Florida.
No, it's
not as
definitely
attractive
not.
as Columbia, Missouri.
Well, I appreciate that. Good recruiting tactic there, Dave. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm in that 4.5 range. And I'll be honest, if I didn't think Texas Tech was actually going to be good in the Big 12 this season, I would have him at about a 7. But I had Texas Tech going 11-1, and that for me right there locks up Joey McGuire, and that's the direction that they're probably going to go. And like I said, I think anything less than 9, I think this guy's in real trouble. And here's why. The offensive ranking since 2022, since he's been there, is a 49 out of 68, a 56 out of 68, and a 42 out of 68. So the offense has not been good with Joey McGuire there as the head coach running this offense. The defensive rankings are pretty similar to where they've been since before him and currently with him. You do see a double coordinator switch along with all these players coming in. So there's a lot to be said about what Texas Tech's trying to do with that oil money this season. And fellas, he's got to get to 9 or better, and then I think he'll be safe. I'm in agreement with all of you guys. Joey McGuire, a 4.5 for me. Anything else on Texas Tech? Nope. Okay. Moving on. This one right here is probably going to catch some people off balance here a little bit, but I think this is the guy that definitely needs to be brought up in these conversations based upon what happened last season, and that's Mike Norvell at Florida State. Nolan, this is your pride and joy. This is your team, and I'm anxious to see what you think about this Mike Norvell thing. He was hired in 2020, 33-27 as the head coach. A lot of ups and downs with Mike Norvell, tons of ups and downs. We saw him have some success at Memphis before he went to Florida State. I thought this was a good hire when they got him. I thought they truly did get their guy. And I'm not saying that he's not their guy yet, but, man, we have a lot of questions about if he can get some continuity at this Florida State football team. And obviously we all know they missed the playoffs in 2023 as an undefeated season. They kind of got the shaft on that one a little bit. Maybe they had that hangover last season. But, wow, what an awful season last year it was. Nolan, tell me what you think about Mike Norvell.
I think he's pretty low on the scale. I think it would have to take another wheels fall off type season. It would have to be probably less than 5 wins, I would say, for him to really be fired. They paid the buyouts for the other coaches. They really had to try and convince a bunch of boosters to do it. I don't see it happening again. I have them going 6-6 this year. And if you can tell me that they are for sure going to be 500 or better, Mike Norvell's there. I'm going to give him probably a 2.5. I mean, there's a chance that it'll happen, but it would take another historically bad season.
So you think at 6-6 he's good? Is that because they have an 85% of total compensation buyout and it's so much?
Isn't it $63 million?
It's a big buyout, huge buyout.
I don't care if he wins one game at $63 million. He's staying another year.
Oh no.
Well, his salary was reduced from nearly $10 million down to like 5.43-ish million for a one-time $4.5 million contribution to a vision of excellence. So I'm assuming that probably has a little bit of punishment to do with what happened last season, and probably some kind of agreement like, hey, we're going to cut ties if you don't agree to this, but if you agree to this, we'll slap you on the wrist. You're going to pay this $4.5 million one time, and then we're going to move right back. And if Florida State wins 9 games every year from 2026 to 2031, he earns the $4.5 million back. So they kind of put the ball back in his court and said, hey, you go get it. We'll get you back. So interesting stuff there a little bit, Nolan. I don't think it's 6-6. I think it's 6-6. This ramps up to a little bit higher, more around the 5 range.
He'll ramp up higher, but they're not going to do anything if they go 6-6. It's going to take another historic season, I think, for them to really fire him. He's got to prove that he can recruit, because high school recruiting has been really bad. You'll see that when you read off those stats since he's been there. The other thing he's got to prove, if you look at his record and you break it down when he had Jordan Travis versus when he did not have Jordan Travis, drastic difference. He's got to prove he can do it without a veteran quarterback there. Castellanos has played a lot of games, but he is not a veteran quarterback to Florida State. He's not a veteran quarterback to the Malzahn offense. You got to prove you can do it year to year. It can't just be a veteran quarterback leading your team.
DJU was a veteran quarterback, but he was just ass cheeks. Bryant, where are you at with Mike Norvell?
I'm right there with Nolan. I got him at a 3, right there with what Nolan said on the record and everything. Personally, I think last year was a bit of a fluky season as far as Florida State is concerned. I agree. He's got to prove he can do it without Jordan Travis. And Nolan brought up the high school recruiting a little bit. I think he's already making big strides there. Florida State is recruiting at an elite level right now from the high school ranks. We see him do well in the portal. I mean, what are you shaking your head for, Nolan? They're like 6 or 7 in the rankings.
Go look at our defensive end, our defensive tackle, our offensive tackle, our quarterback recruiting. I don't care. I love getting the superstar running backs. I love getting the superstar receivers. The defensive back recruiting, I mean, we're up there with everybody the last 2 or 3 years. We haven't done anything with the 4 and 5 stars that we've gotten. You got to get the big boys up front, and you got to get your leader. If you get the big boys up front and you can get the leader, I'll start believing in the high school recruiting. But go break it down position by position. Cornerback is what's really carrying them to their rankings that they've been getting lately. Corner and safety. We can't seem to get any high school linemen on both sides of the ball.
Their 5-year average is number 17 over the course of the last 5. That's about where they average, right in like the 17 mark. The offense has a 5-year average. Do what? Go ahead, Brian.
I was saying that he's making strides in this coming class is very good on paper.
2026.
So he's trying. Yes, he's trying. He's doing better on that front. I think it'll bode well for him on the field if he does stay. I think it's going to take a catastrophic season again for him to get fired, like Nolan said. I think he's pretty safe right now. We know he can be a good coach. It's just a matter of doing it with anybody other than Jordan Travis and a lot of those guys he had on that team.
Well, Dave said he's safe no matter what because of that buyout. So we know where Dave stands with this Florida State coach and Mike Norvell. So I'm going to come in at about 4.5. I think there is a little bit of smoke there. I think there's a lot of upset fans, a lot of upset donors for the right reasons, right? I mean, your offensive 5-year average before was 30.8 and now it's 34.2, and they were literally the worst ranked Power 4 offense in 2024. They were the 5th best in 2022. That's what who was it Jordan Travis still there in 2022, Nolan? Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. And then your defense, your 5-year average before was 18, now it's 20.2. So you've kind of slid back a little bit in both those areas. So not the greatest, but I mean you're not really sliding back in other than last year. So I'm a 4.5. I have them going 8-4 this season. I think that's enough to keep the job, enough for them to build on that and kind of move into the next season. Dave, Mike Norvell safe to you, or did you have something you want to throw in here?
No, I'm sorry, but at $63 million, he's staying.
He's safe.
He's staying. Hey. I'll throw him to coach volleyball team if it comes down to it. But I'm getting my money's worth.
Hey, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. The next coach that we're going to talk about is Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State, and what a catastrophic way this has gone for Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy as well. This guy was a staple in college football, a mullet of all mullets in college football. This guy had a great fan base. Things were going great at Oklahoma State. Things were kind of humming. You come into last season with pretty high expectations. Ollie Gordon's supposed to carry you to a Big 12 run. This network was on your over win total. You beat Arkansas, and after that, the wheels completely fell off, and you had zero offensive talent. We just had a comment in here on the scale of 1 to 8. I think Grundy is supposed to beat Gundy and is at an 11. And I don't disagree with this. This is another coach for me that I'm going to throw right up there at the 7 mark. He's in big, big trouble. And the one thing that I think could save him is he's been there since 2005. Also, that could be a knock as well. Is it a change of scenery? What do we need? But you go 169-88 as the head coach at Oklahoma State. That's not bad. You go 12-6 in bowl games at Oklahoma State. That's not bad. You're in the Big 12. You should probably be a powerhouse in the Big 12, though. So I think that's where you get a little bit of pushback here. You got a $15 million buyout for the next 3 seasons, dropping to $10 million buyout in 2028. So a very manageable buyout. I know it seems like a lot to us, but a very manageable buyout, relatively speaking to all these other coaches, especially the ones that are on this episode. The contract is up in 2028. Now, the offensive average from 2015 to 2019, 14.8. From 2020 to 2024, 45.2. So we've seen this team really kind of fall apart here in the last 4 or 5 seasons, and it's going in the wrong direction. And that defense, since Jim Knowles left in 2022, this defense hasn't been better than a 46 out of 68. And in 2024, it was 67 out of 68. So things have really gone the wrong direction. You bring in Todd Grantham with a little bit of experience to replace Brian Nardo as the defensive coordinator with some SEC experience, maybe things go the right direction. The recruiting's gone the wrong way. I mean, everything is the wrong way. This is a 7 for me. Mike Gundy, I'm a big fan of yours, man, but this might be the end. Ryan, where are you at with Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State?
I have him right up there, 7.5, 8. Personally, I think there's a chance that he hangs it up after this season if it goes bad. He's been there a long time. He's a well-tenured coach. I think he's done about as good as you possibly could ask for somebody at Oklahoma State. But it's wild because 2 years ago, this team was in the Big 12 title game. And then last year, they totally just fell off the map. I think that's kind of foreshadowing of what's going to happen again this season. Ollie Gordon was horrible, tanked his draft stock, didn't really do a whole lot to help out the situation either. And the defensive woes are continuing for them. So I'm right there with what you mentioned as far as Mike Gundy is concerned. He's going to have to put on a stellar season, I think, to be off the chopping block. And I don't see it with this team.
I don't either. Dave?
He gone. Yeah, I mean, I just think he's one of those that where even with his bio being where it is, I think it's worth letting him go. I mean, you've had him for 20 years. It's about time to change it up. I mean, it'd be different if he's, been doing well, but man, last year was rough. I think he's got to win more than 7 games to even have a chance at staying. I just find it very hard to keep him. I just really do. But at the same time, like, who's available as a head coach is where I kind of start to wonder. Like,
they can go get a guy. That they can go get a guy that's more in with the times than Gundy. So is this another 8 for you, Dave? You're full of 8s, man.
No, that's why I try to give a couple.
You're a glass half empty.
It's only my second 8.
You're a glass half empty kind of guy. Nolan?
Call me glass half empty too. He's an 8. It's a retirement or it's a fire. I think they need to move on. He's one of the coaches that I think he'd be a great coordinator. Just let him call some plays. Cool. I'm not sure he's into all the NIL stuff as much as some of these younger coaches would be. I think they need to move on, and if they do it right, it'll be like the Sam Pittman situation. Let him retire. Let him go out in glory. Much better than last year. I mean, if they go 500 and turn it around, everybody's going to be talking about how he turned it around and then hung it up. Let him go out on a high note.
Yep, I'm with that. I think this is going to be the end for Gundy at Oklahoma State. Moving on to the next coach we have here, Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. Luke Fickell, for me, is picking up quite a bit of traction, and for good reason. They haven't had a whole lot of success. I mean, he's been there a short time, but Wisconsin's not going to put up with a lot of this losing at a rapid pace, I should say. They're 12-13 since he's been the head coach at Wisconsin, 0-1 in the bowl games in the 2 seasons he's been there, so missed it 1 season. He got a top 27 recruiting class in 24 and 25. The 2-year portal average, though, is 15, and this offense in 2023 was 38 out of 68. In 2024, it was 53 out of 68. In the 8 years before him, they had an average of 30. So this offense has gone the wrong direction with Fickell. And in 2023, the defense was number 30 out of 68. 2024, the defense was 40 out of 68. And the 8 years before that, an average of 15. So we have seen this team go in the complete wrong direction under the leadership of Luke Fickell, which is crazy. Because let's not forget, Luke Fickell got a G5 team at the time in Cincinnati to a playoff of only 4 teams at the time as well. So I really did think the Luke Fickell hire at Wisconsin was going to work, but I'm here to tell you right now, it's not working. So, Dave, where are you at with Luke Fickell?
Luke Fickell, I'm like at a 6. The Big Ten, I mean, they're all kind of like right there, So I just think there's a lot of games that could go south. Not saying they necessarily will, but I just think there's a higher chance of him being gone than not. The quarterback play has just not been great. As well as I don't know if you can go off of who he was at Cincinnati. I mean, we know that, being a coach at Cincinnati is a lot different than being a coach here. So I think he's most likely on the way out.
I think no one's on record talking about how he don't think Luke Fickell's that good of a coach, right? In one of our earlier episodes.
Yes, sir. I was going to bring it up here again.
What do you think made him successful at Cincinnati, though?
That roster, period.
The NFL players they had on their team, dude. That team was stacked.
But would you say,
roster.
okay,
That's all it
would we
was.
say that was just recruiting on his end? Or he just
Nope.
got lucky?
He's not known as a top-level recruiter in the college football space. He's not a Cristobal. He's not a Saban type person, type coach. He's a good recruiter. People know him as a good recruiter, but he's not – I mean,
he
again, I know this because of Florida State, but if Jimbo Fisher wanted a guy, you met with Jimbo Fisher, and if you met with Jimbo Fisher, you went to Florida State. He's not that guy.
No, but he got those guys there. I think what they did well at that point is they just hit on all of those guys. They had an extremely high hit rate that year, or that couple seasons, and it all fell into place. And there was other teams that weren't winning games that should have won games that could have knocked them out and got that fourth spot, right? So, I mean, there was a lot of things that went into that a little bit. But, yeah, so Nolan, are you pretty high on Luke Fickell getting out of here?
Yep, I'm up in the 6.5 range here.
Wow.
And looking at their schedule, I mean, I don't know where you're going to find wins at. If the Wisconsin fans are already mad, I mean, I got 3, maybe 4 wins on the schedule this year. I don't think they're going to be good. I think it's going to be a long season. Wisconsin fans are already mad. I think he's pretty much gone.
Brian?
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I have him at a 5.5, 6 range. Initially had him a little lower, and I saw the schedule and kind of thought about it a little bit and where the situation's at. It bumped him up a little bit. He's going to have to win some games this year. The lure of him coming from a playoff Cincinnati team to coach his team has worn off. So I think it's do or die. I just don't think it's going to be happening this season. So I think there's a pretty good chance that he's gone. And this one's kind of flown under the radar, at least nationally. Nobody's really talking about Luke Fickell being on the hot seat at all, really. And I think it was good to bring him up in the show and talk about how there's some real chance this guy could be gone for this year.
Well, hey, we put our heads together and made a list of 13 guys for you here. So he just happened to be one of them. So we're going to be the network that talks about it, and we're going to beat everybody else to it. I'm saying wow and shaking my head a little bit because I thought I was going to be the only one that had Luke Fickell at a 5.5, and I come in at the low side of this. So I'm right there with you, fellas. All the reasons you guys already said, all the reasons I already said, the team's going in the wrong direction at a rapid rate. The only thing good they got going there is jump around in the fourth quarter. And outside of that, they may not be any fans at the game other than visiting opponents' fans in the fourth quarter to celebrate jump around. And they may jump around when he gets removed from the head coaching job because I have him going 4-8 this season. So not good things for Wisconsin. Moving on to the next coach on our list here. I'm picking up the pace a little bit because we've gone a little bit longer than we thought we would on some of these coaches. So the next coach that we want to talk about here is Billy Napier at Florida for all the reasons that we talked about last season, right? All the reasons that we talked about all offseason. The team has not produced like they should and like they're wanting to. Now, they have an extremely hard schedule last year, have an extremely hard schedule again, so it makes it tough. You hire Napier in 2022. You go 19-19 since the hire, 1-1 in a bowl game. You have a pretty lucrative contract, 7-year, $51.8 million deal through 2029 with an annual average of $7.4 million. And the buyout clause is Napier's contract stipulates that Florida would owe 85% of his total remaining compensation. So going to be a fairly lucrative buyout as well. So I don't think if they did it at the end of last season, I think he's got a little bit longer of a leash this season because of the DJ Lagway things and how DJ Lagway looked for that team at the end of the season. But we all know DJ Lagway is already banged up. We got some receivers banged up. We got some linemen banged up. We got some defensive players banged up. The whole team's banged up already. So, Dave, where are you at with Billy Napier? Does he make it another season?
Man, I'm at like a 5-6 with him. I think there's I mean, listen, if this schedule was different, I would be a lot lower on him. But man, this is a rough schedule. I mean, I'm trying to look. I mean, let's say I would say that the games are going to be determining factor, maybe like an LSU, a Texas, and
So
an A&M.
let me ask you this, Dave. I have Florida and Billy Napier going 8-4 this season. Does that keep the job?
I think that keeps
Absolutely.
the job, but he's still in the hot seat. I think 9, he's good. I think 9 wins, he's good, but 8 wins, they're like, hey, listen, you slid by, but we need better.
I
Because
honestly,
they also understand that the schedule is shit. You know, it's just not the schedule you want to play.
well, I agree with you though, because Florida fans don't like 8-win seasons. Like 8-4 sounds like, oh yeah, that's not bad, good, you're in the right direction. They don't like 8-win seasons, so I'll give mine. I'm at a 6. I'm at a 6, and I have them going 8-4. So I think they got to show real signs of improvement and just get beat by 4 better opponents on that schedule. Nolan, where are you at?
I'm a little lower than you guys. I'm down at the 4.5, 5 range. It's been said that Billy Napier is the reason that DJ Lagway chose Florida. So if Billy Napier's out, does DJ Lagway leave? You know, if he stays healthy for this season, I mean, they might go 10-2. But if he doesn't stay healthy this season, I think they're down close to a 500 team. And it just depends on how the Florida AD feels. You know, can we keep DJ Lagway? Even if he's not going to be healthy all the time, that's still a guy you want on your roster just on the off chance that he's going to stay healthy. But I think your best shot of keeping DJ Lagway is keeping Billy Napier. So even if they have a poor season, I think it would have to be an under 500 season for them to consider getting rid of him. Perfectly possible looking at the schedule, but I don't think it's super likely, so I'm down at that kind of 4.5 range.
I'm right there with Nolan. I think DJ Lagway kind of saved Billy Napier's job last year. I mean, we were kind of calling for his job after like week 3 and 4 when Graham Mertz was still in there. And then all of a sudden Lagway comes in and kind of turns it around in the right direction. I think his job kind of rides with DJ. And I'm right there with Nolan. If he plays and has a decent season, he has a chance to come back again next year with another year of eligibility before he can get drafted. I think they're going to keep rolling with Billy Napier and give him another shot. So I have him at a 5. Could go south. I think it could go the right way just as easily. So I got him right there at 50-50.
So real quick, before we move on, I'm going to give the offense and defense for him as well. 2022 on offense, 27 out of 68. 2023, 31 out of 68. 2024, 18 out of 68. And the 7-year prior average before him was a 28 out of 68 for the offense. The defense, 39, 64, and 22. The 7-year average before him, 25.4. So we've seen it be really bad last year. The offense and defense beat the averages that they had in the 7 years prior. After everything surrounding what was going on, they did better. So I just think that the patience is wearing thin. I think the Lagway stuff definitely only goes so far. But, man, if he's banged up again and you lose these games, they're probably over. They're probably over the Lagway shit and why he's not healthy, and they're probably over the Billy Napier stuff and why it's not working out. So that's why I am sitting at a 6 for him. Moving on to another SEC coach. A lot of SEC coaches on this episode. Moving on to another SEC coach, we have Mark Stoops at Kentucky. This is a guy that's been around for a long time. Real quick, we had a comment come in before we move on about Napier. Nape and Lagway, a package deal. I think he's a great coach, just my opinion. A lot of people are picking up steam on liking him after watching the SEC show on Netflix. I've seen a lot of good things about him since then. Mark Stoops at Kentucky, head coach since 2013, 67-72 as head coach at Kentucky, 4-4 in bowl games. The contract is through 2030 with a $9 million annual average. So this guy's getting paid to be the head coach at Kentucky. They're getting to the point where they might be over it. I push back a little bit because you're still Kentucky. You're still Kentucky football in the SEC conference, and you are a basketball school. So it makes it really tough for me to understand all the Mark Stoops hate. I mean, you're just a few games below 500. I know that's not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear that you're a loser, but you're an SEC team that is a basketball school in a football conference, and it's really, really hard. I think this is one of the hardest jobs in the country. Nolan, where are you at with Mark Stoops?
I'm up there again. I'm a 6.5 here. I don't think Kentucky wants him there. They're paying him a lot of money to lose games. They can pay somebody else to less money. They could pay somebody else less money to probably get close to the same results at this point. Like you said, they're a basketball school. They're not a football school. I don't think you can expect much, and I don't really want to be paying my coach $9 million a year just to go 500.
That's insane to me. Bryant?
Yeah, I think those few good years he had since COVID since COVID kind of boosted his stock a little bit, but we've seen it kind of go off the rails in recent years as far as how their play has been on the field. I think he's a good coach. I don't think there's anything wrong from that standpoint. I think he's just maybe kind of lost it with his players and the fan base a little bit. And we've already seen them say that they're gonna push a lot of this money towards basketball rather than football, like you see in other SEC schools. So that doesn't really help him either. And Kentucky's a hard place to recruit for football players, especially in this conference. So I'm 50-50. I think he can go either way. I could also maybe see him stepping down too and moving on for them as well. But I'm 50-50. I don't think they're going to be very good this season. So probably lean to more to the side of him leaving.
I'm with you guys for all the things you already said. I have them going 4-8 this season, so that puts me at a Mark Stoops 6.5 chance that he is gone by the end of the season for the Kentucky Wildcats football program. Dave, what about you? You're on mute, buddy.
Mute.
I'm pretty much at like a 6, and it could be up to a 7. I mean, just not a great season last year. Offense got to get better. I mean, I think bare minimum you got to make a bowl game to stay. But even then, to your point, you're paying him a lot of money. But then at the same time, I believe his buyout's $38 million. That's kind of hefty if you're Kentucky. Like, again, Kentucky's not – I'm not saying they ain't got money, but I don't think they can just – they have $38 million disposable income. I think at $38 million, you wait another year at least and keep him around. Hopefully he gets better. And I don't know. Do you go ahead and dump those $38 million just to get something else?
Well, I think his buyout is only $4.5 million. So his buyout's less than what his salary is, I believe. If I read that correctly, and I got a lot of this buyout stuff, it's really hard to kind of decipher and read through. But I'm pretty sure it's only 4.5.
If it's 4.5, he's gone.
I could be wrong on that, but I think it's $4.5 million. So at that point, yeah, it's going to be tough to keep him. Nolan, what else did you have on? What else did you have on Stoops here?
Didn't he also go visit A&M over the offseason here?
Not a good look. That is correct.
Lost a lot of goodwill with people at Kentucky. They liked him until he tried to get out without telling anybody about anything. They just found out about some plane records. Everybody saw him there. Not a good look. He lost some goodwill with the people that liked him at Kentucky.
So I am incorrect. His buyout is 75% of his remaining salary. So going to be quite a bit more than that 4.5. But still, I mean, these teams will pony up and pay those things, especially after what Nolan just said. I mean, you went into a different program in your conference and looked at a job. Not a good look. Not a good look at all. So Mark Stoops going to be tough to bounce back from that one. The next coach that we are going to talk about is a coach that had high expectations last season based on the team that he had. I need to go ahead and add his image file here, and that is Brent Pry from Virginia Tech. I think that this guy is in a world of trouble. I don't feel like it's going in the right direction for Brent Pry, so I'll be honest with you fellas. I'm at a 7 for him. I have him going 7-5 this season. He was hired at Virginia Tech in 2022, 16-21 record since the hire, 1-1 in bowl games. Not good things going on at Virginia Tech. Not the bounce back that they were wanting. Bryant, where you got Brent Pry in Virginia Tech?
I have him at the 6. I think last year was the beginning of going in the wrong direction. Doesn't really have the players right now, in my opinion, to right the ship either, from what I'm seeing. Kyron Jones is a decent quarterback, but doesn't have a whole lot around him. Virginia Tech has notoriously been a sneaky team in the ACC every year. So I think Brent Pry coming in and putting on what he has kind of gone away from that a little bit. So I think they're getting frustrated with him. So I think he's up there. I don't think it's going to be a great season. I think he could easily be gone.
I'm similar to Bryant. I got him at about a 5.5, 6 here. It's not a great season for him last year. Kyron Jones is healthy this year, which should help. But truthfully, I think it's another one of those things where you gotta really manage your expectations. You're Virginia Tech. You're not dumping the money into football like you should to really win a bunch of games. And Colin, I think if you got them at 7-5, I mean, if you told me before the season they would go 7-5, I would give Brent Pry a 1 this year. He's going to be there if they have a winning record. But if they have a losing record, that's where I think it gets a little dicey for him.
Yeah, I can see the case you're making. I just, to your point, they're not spending the money that they should be, or that the fan base is wanting them to. But I also think that they're kind of expecting them to just go in the right direction naturally. And I feel like the leash that they've given him it's not working. So I think that their patience is really thin. And I think it's mainly because of, like, kind of what Brian said. That last year's team had extremely high expectations. Kyron Drones, you had a lot of seniors on that football team, tons and tons of returning production, and it just fell flat on its face. I mean, it was so bad that I think that they can't get the taste out of their mouth with that one. So that's why I don't feel good about Brent Pry. Dave, where you at with him?
I got him at like a 6. I think in agreement with Nolan, I don't think they go 7-5. I mean, if you look at their schedule, I mean, South Carolina's a loss, Vanderbilt's a loss, Old Dominion they'll win, Oldford they'll win. NC State, I think, is better than everybody thinks they are. So I think they'll lose to NC State. Wake Forest will be a toss-up. Georgia Tech, possibly a loss. Cal, they could possibly win that one. Louisville, I think they could win. Florida State, yeah, I don't know. Miami, they'll lose. And then I think they lose at Virginia. I mean, and again, for me, they just can't win the close games. And I think that's what determines the win record. Like, if you're a team that's going to be, 500 and above, you're going to win those close games. That's what's really going to make the difference. And they can't seem to do that. I mean, they've got new offensive and defensive coordinators. I just think that shit has hit the fan, and they're just trying to, like, find some. He was like, hey, let me just go get new coordinators, and if this doesn't work out, hey, I tried. So yeah. I think he's most likely on the way out, and I don't think they go 7-5. I'm truthfully, I'm thinking more 5 and 7.
Hey. And when we did our ACC win totals, it was a while back now. And when I did Virginia Tech, they were like one of the teams with the most coin flip games of anybody out there. They had a lot of sure losses, but then like 6, 7 coin flip games, I felt like I was like, okay. Kyron Jones, yeah, I'll give you that one. Kyron Jones, I'll give you that one. So you guys might be right. This might be like 3 and 9 wheels are off, 4 and 8, 5 and 7 type situation. At that point, he is definitely gone. Anything else on Pride? We good? Okay, moving on. 3 more for you here. Brian Kelly at LSU. This is one because the fans are getting extremely impatient. Extremely, extremely impatient. That they are so frustrated with how things are going, I think. And you had a Heisman Trophy winner, and you have another quarterback that's probably going to go on the first round, and you're still not making things happen, it feels like, here at LSU. You were hired in 2022, go 29-11 so far since then, 3-0 in bowl games. Have an absolute fat deal for 10 years, $95 million. You got 7 years left on that deal, and the buyout is 90% of the remaining base salary and supplemental compensation. Fat buyout, fellas. It's going to make it tough for Brian Kelly. I have him going 10-2 this season, so my Brian Kelly is at a 2.5. I'm anxious to see what you boys think about this one. Dave, where you at, Brian Kelly?
Man, I think he's a 1, man. I get it. LSU has a very high standard, but man, I mean, look at the stats you just rolled out. I mean, 3-0 in bowl games. I mean, he's got a very good winning record. The only way he gets dumped is if it's just a total shit show this year. That's the only way. And even then, they might keep him because of how crazy that buyout is. But at the same time, look at, talking again about Ed Orgeron. He had just won a national championship, 2 years prior to him getting fired? So LSU is known for just – but I don't – again, because Ed Orgeron's buyout was pretty high too, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're not afraid to move on.
How often can you do that within like 5-year span? Does LSU have that kind of money?
Oh, yeah. They got that.
Dump it like that?
They got that kind of money.
I think he's doing good. I think because it is LSU, if this was any other program, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
I think they got to get the defense going in the right direction all season long, and I think it really takes a lot of heat off him. And Somebody commented and said they're going to go 8-4. I got him going 10-2, and I think at that point he's safe. Nolan, where are you at? I'm
down in the 2 range. It's going to take a lot to get rid of him, but at the same time, expectations are high. Down in Louisiana, they are saying playoff or bust, and they are not even thinking just make it to the playoff. They're thinking we got to win the first game, man. It's big expectations this year. It's just it would take a lot to fire him. He's pretty solidified in there, but at the same time, there's always a chance. So I can't give him a 1. I'll give him a 2.
Right?
Yeah, I have him at a 3. I don't think it's very likely with the buyout. Also, I think LSU is going to have a pretty good team this year. Regardless of all the antics and the stupid BS I think he does and points fingers, I think he's pretty safe. Regardless of how good or bad the season goes, I think it would take a catastrophe for him to get fired. But I think Brian Kelly definitely stays.
I love this comment. As long as he talks with the fake Cajun accent, he's fine. I love it because he came from Notre Dame and all of a sudden he's a real Southern boy. But yeah, so the offense, we've seen them be better than the 7-year average before him. 16, 1, and 11. That has a lot to do with the first-round talent quarterbacks that they've had, which I think also is a bad look that you're not winning games all the time with those first-round quarterbacks. The defense, way worse. We have a 56 and a 44 in there, and they were averaging 21.5 the 7 years before him. So way worse. You can definitely hang your hat on the fact that the defense is the problem. I think the other glaring issue that LSU fans have, and honestly a lot of college football fans have with Brian Kelly, is all the comments about how you can't win a national championship, it seems like, at Notre Dame. You go to LSU, could you think you can win championships there? And your replacement at Notre Dame gets them to a national championship game long before you get LSU to a national championship game. So real ugly, glaring stat on that one. But I think Brian Kelly hangs around for at least another season as well. I'm with you guys on that. Moving on to our second to last coach. This one might catch some people off guard as well, and it's going to be the head coach at USC, and that's Lincoln Riley. A lot of fans are getting a little impatient there too. We see a lot of these big-name programs like an LSU and a USC, and the patience level is not there because they're expected to win. They're kind of what you'd call almost a blue blood in these sports. Not almost, they are. And these fans are just not happy with it, especially with the money they're paying them and the package deals these coaches get to come to these teams. I mean, these guys are getting housing bonuses or free interest rates on housing. They're getting car allowances. They're getting fat, absolute contracts. This is not acceptable. Lincoln Riley was hired in 2022 at USC. Is 26-14 as the head coach at USC. 3-4 in bowl games. That's a really ugly stat. And coached a Heisman winner. And we still don't have tons and tons and tons of postseason success with you as the coach having the Heisman Trophy winner as your quarterback. So don't like what Lincoln Riley's doing at USC. But I'm here to tell you that I have him at a 2.5 because I think he still is the guy. And I think they go 8-4 this season, especially in the Big Ten. You go 8-4, and you're kind of getting in the right direction in the Big Ten. I'm going to stay at a 2.5 on this one. I think the name helps. Bryant?
Yeah, I'm pretty low on it too. I have him at a 3. I think Lincoln Riley has a bigger leash at USC. I know this isn't USC from 2005. I mean, Reggie Bush isn't on this team, and neither is Matt Leinart. It's relatively, I think, harder to recruit now out there that they're in the Big Ten a little bit more than it was when they were in the Pac-12 as far as there to Southern California. But I think they're going to have a decent team. He's a good coach. We've seen it happen when he's at Oklahoma and now there with Caleb Williams at USC. Can he get back to that high-flying offensive style that we know he can do? I think this last couple of years were just a little bit of a bump in the road. I think he can ride the ship and be a better coach. I think he has a massive buyout as well. I don't know if you mentioned it before, but I think that plays into it as well. I think he's pretty safe.
Dave?
I'm going to get a 2. I don't think he's going anywhere. Yes, you could argue that the amount of money they're paying him, they expect more. But listen, look at the kind of program he picked up. USC was completely irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant when he went to USC. There was nothing going on there. And we've talked about it. Yes, you can dump money into a program. You can, throw in a coach and everything, but it will take time to build a successful program.
Well, you can tell he wants to stay there too because he's talking about upgrading the facilities and trying to get it in the right direction.
Yep.
And let me back you up a little bit on this, Dave, in one aspect. The 7-year average before him on the offense is 25.7. Since he's been there, it's been a 7, a 2, and a 9. Now, let me give you the defensive side. They were 32.8 7 years before him. Since then, 66 out of 68, 50 out of 68, and 52 out of 68 with a 3-year average of a 56.
Which is quite interesting considering at Oklahoma, his offense was what kind of shined and the defense just seemed to not – I don't know. I think if he can figure out the defense, I think –
the shoes are following.
You said what?
The shoes are following him, man. This is just what he is.
Man, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to be there at least for another 2 to 3 years, because of the buyout. I think he is. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's amazing. I don't think he's a top 10, but I think he's up there. And again, USC, I mean, who else are they going to bring in to replace him? I don't know. I think just you let him, with the amount that you invested in him, you expected him to be a project. This wasn't going to be a, quick turnaround, but I don't see him going anywhere.
I don't know, man. I think they hired him to go win right away because of the name.
Yeah, but if you're being realistic, like they're not, like it wasn't going to happen. Like you weren't going to turn the program around that quickly.
Well, going to the Big Ten hurt him. I think going to the Big Ten definitely hurt him.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to factor that in as well. It's not like, he's going to go play in the ACC or something. This is competitive football.
No, I'm glad to have you back.
Hey.
I'm not sure what happened to you right there.
What was your number there, Colin?
I'm at a 2.5. I think Dave and Brian are also extremely low as well. Where are you at?
I'm up at a 4.5 range. I think if they have another kind of 50-50 season, 500, maybe a game over 500, I think they're going to be out on them. I think USC, I mean, I know they're not the 2005 USC with Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, but I think they expect more. And especially moving from Pac-12 to Big Ten, and they see Oregon do it just perfectly fine, I think that's who they're kind of comparing themselves to. So, and also there's been lots of talk about Lincoln Riley. His team's soft. They can't play defense. Lots of just different talking points that are not always positive. I've not heard many of the positive talking points on him. So I think he's a little hotter seat than you guys are thinking, but just my opinion.
I can see it, dude. These, like we said a second ago, these big name teams, these name brands, they get really, really impatient really, really quick. And I get it. You pay these guys to win, not to watch 500 football, especially when you have Heisman Trophy winners as your quarterback. This last coach here, this guy's as good as gone. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this guy's as good as gone. That's Tony Elliott, the head coach of Virginia. Team's not good. They haven't done good things since he's been there. I think it is all bad news for Virginia and Tony Elliott. He was hired in 2022. They're 11-23 since he's been the head coach. No bowl game appearances. Do I need to say anything else? Not a single top 57 recruiting class. Year before he took over, it was a 32. I have nothing positive to say. I think he's a good guy. I don't mind listening to his press conferences. I think he says the right things, but it's not good for Tony Elliott in Virginia. Bryant, where are you at? I think no one froze.
I have. No one froze again.
He gone.
Losing internet, I guess.
He's as gone as Tony Elliott.
Yeah, that's a funny face. That's how I feel about Tony Elliott. I got him at a 7. I think he's good as gone. We kind of talked about before the show. They're so badly hurt right now on both sides of the ball, and their team wasn't good to begin with. I think they're going to lose a lot of games, and I think, like you said, I think this guy's good as gone. Could easily make him an 8. I got him at a 7.
Dave?
I think he's gone.
Yeah, he gone, man.
He gone. I mean, what is he, 6-16? I mean, it doesn't have a terrible schedule.
11-23.
11-23. Okay, my numbers were off then. But either way, I mean, there's just nothing makes me believe that Tony Elliott's gonna stay.
No,
I'm trying to be like positive, like okay, maybe there's nothing that I see he's got going for him.
So Nolan, are you there with us on Tony Elliott? Because we said Tony Elliott's as gone as you were in the studio right there, and I mean that's wiped out, man.
Yep, I am the same. And I don't know if you guys have seen these injury reports coming out of Virginia either. They got half their team hurt. They got some people out for the season, key players out for the season. If I would have known all this on our locks pod, I would probably throw Virginia under up on a lock then too. I think it's bad news for them.
They're trending in the wrong direction. I hate to see it for the guy, but yeah, this is going to be the end of the rope for Tony Elliott, and not good things there in Virginia. Is there any other coaches, real quick, before we get out of here, that you guys wanted to throw out there real quick that we didn't make the list?
No, I think we covered them really well.
Yeah, man, we had 13 coaches on this list, and college football is going to shit a brick if somehow 13 coaches in the Power Four here lose their job, because we only covered Power Four coaches here. May not have 13 head coaches to put back in position, but really only a couple of these guys really caught a lot of steam that they're probably going to be out of here. Dave, what do you got going on there?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really great day.
Dave, what are you watching?
It was like,
Sorry, my wife was sending me something here.
I love it. Like you're having a really great day. But, yeah, a lot of these coaches probably going to get axed. A lot of coaches probably going to be back. I would say that there's a realistic chance that 4 of these guys probably go, and the rest of them probably going to return. So, anything else on this topic, fellas?
I'm good.
Ron commented and said 14 if you count Nolan, because Nolan he had lagged out of the lobby here. So that's 14 coaches.
Get him out. His buyout's really small.
Comment coming in says, WTF, Dave. He was having a great day, dude. His wife went in having a great day.
Hey, Cody's about to get married. He'll figure it out soon.
Hey, let's not forget that Dave's having a great day, seeing how it is. He's an Eastern time. It's 9:47 there, and he's sitting outside doing the show. So he must be having a great day. All right. With this being said, this was our last episode over anything not covering games. Everything from this point forward is game related, and I cannot wait, fellas. That is some of the most exciting stuff. That's what we love doing the most. This was a long, grueling offseason. I felt like we gave a lot of good things to cover, and we are no longer doing that preview episode for week 0 tomorrow night. Book It segment comes back tomorrow night. We don't have anything on the quickie segment just because there's not that many games, but after that, we will move to 2 episodes a week, still moving forward with a review episode early in the week and a preview episode later in the week every single week. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, we have made it. College football is back. There is no longer next week, next month, in 2 weeks. We are here. We have made it, fellas, and this is why we do this thing. I cannot wait. Anything else, fellas? You guys good? Go Tigers.
I'm good. Excited to talk about actual games.
Yeah, let's get a Go Tigers here. We got 2 quarterbacks. What more could you ask for? You got 2 quarterbacks, not just one. We got 2. I love the way that looks.
Easy.
I'm in full-blown panic mode as a Tigers fan right now. Don't like where it's at. But all right, you can follow us on YouTube at Deep Thread Sports, Apple Deep Thread Sports, Spotify Deep Thread Sports, X DT_sports_, Facebook Deep Thread Sports Network. That's Bryant. That's Nolan. That's Dave. I'm Colin. Hey, until next time, fellas, peace.